So, let's talk about Google's flagship AI, Gemini. This is way more than just another chatbot. We're talking about a whole ecosystem that's really shaking up the tech world. Today, we're going to break down what makes this thing such a big deal. And that brings us to the big question on everyone's mind. Is Gemini really ChatGPT's biggest rival? Well, to figure that out, we're going to dive deep into what makes it tick, what really sets it apart, and how it might just become a tool you can't live without. Okay, first things first, what even is Gemini? You see, the name actually represents two things at once. You might know it as the chatbot that took over from Bard, but it's also the name for the entire family of powerful AI models running the show behind the scenes. So it's kind of like both the brain and the voice. Now, here's the core concept you really need to grasp: native multimodality. It sounds complicated, but here's a great way to think about it. Most other AIs were built for text, and then they had things like image-reading eyes basically glued on later. But Gemini, it was designed from the ground up to understand everything: text, images, audio, video, and code, all at the same time. It was literally born with all its senses. And that foundation gives Gemini some pretty incredible AI superpowers. So what really makes it stand out from the crowd? Let's get into the specifics. Let's start with just one number, a huge one: 2 million. So, what does that even mean? Well, that's the number of tokens, think of them as tiny pieces of information, that the most powerful version of Gemini can handle all at once. Now, to put that 2 million token number into perspective, think about this. A typical AI can maybe handle a few pages of text in its short-term memory. Gemini 1.5 Pro? It can process a 1,500-page book, hours of video, or a massive, complex codebase in a single go. Its memory, or what we call its context window, is absolutely gigantic. And this is where Google's whole strategy really clicks. Gemini isn't some standalone app you have to open. It's woven right into the stuff you probably already use every day. It can scan your Gmail to find your flight info, pull data from a Google Sheet to write a paragraph in a Google Doc, or even watch a video of your broken dishwasher to suggest a fix. So with all that power, how can you actually get your hands on it? Well, Google's basically laid out 3 main ways for you to tap into Gemini's abilities. First, you've got the chatbot itself, which is great for conversations, generating images, and analyzing files you upload. Second, if you use Google Workspace, you'll see that little Help Me Write magic wand icon right inside Docs, Gmail, and Slides. And third, for all the developers out there, you can use the Gemini API to build this intelligence into your own custom apps. Of course, all this power has to have a price tag. Or does it? Let's break down the 2 main tiers: what you get for free and what you get if you go pro. Okay, so the free version is pretty impressive, running on a super fast model called Gemini Flash. But for about $20 a month, you can upgrade to Gemini Advanced. That unlocks the absolute top tier 1.5 Pro model with that giant context window and full integration into Workspace. But here's the real kicker. It also includes 2 terabytes of Google Drive storage, which honestly makes it a fantastic deal. Now, we can't talk about an AI this powerful without getting into the really critical stuff: safety, bias, and yeah, the potential for it to just make things up. So here's what you absolutely need to know before you dive in. All right, this is a huge one. With the free version, you need to know that human reviewers might read your conversations to help train the AI. So, don't put your deepest, darkest secrets in there. But with the paid Workspace version, Google guarantees your data is kept private and is never used for training their models. That's a really crucial difference. And then there's the issue of hallucinations. You gotta remember, just like every other large language model out there, Gemini can be confidently wrong. It can invent facts out of thin air, cite articles that don't exist. It can just plain lie. So the rule is simple. If the information is critical, you have to verify it. Always. Gemini also hit a pretty big and very public roadblock with its image generator. Back in early 2024, it started creating historically inaccurate images, like showing diverse ethnicities for figures like the US founding fathers. Google apologized pretty quickly, shut the feature down for a bit, and then relaunched it with new safety filters. It was a perfect example of just how tricky it is to get these AI safety guardrails right. Okay, so we've covered a lot. After all that, what's the final verdict? How do you figure out if Gemini is the right tool for you?
Let's just boil it all down to the key takeaways. First, if you live and breathe in the Google ecosystem, we're talking Docs, Drive, Android, then Gemini is probably the best all-in-one AI you can get. Second, that Gemini Advanced plan is a seriously good value because of the 2 terabytes of storage it throws in. And third, never forget that huge privacy difference between the free and paid versions. And as a little fun fact, it was developed by Google Brain in the US, but with a lot of influence from DeepMind over in the UK.
And that really brings us to one last big question to think about. As this technology gets woven deeper and deeper into our emails, our documents, basically our entire digital lives, it offers amazing convenience. But you have to ask yourself, for an AI that's this integrated into everything we do, is that convenience worth the trade-off?